Hey guys, this week's episode is being brought to you by Squarespace. Turn your great idea into a reality. With Squarespace, you can make your website, passion, project easier than ever to launch, no matter what it is that you're trying to put up on the internet. They've got amazing templates, so you don't have to worry about anything looking super basic. You can have something customized just to your liking and doing all the things you needed to. Plus, if you ever get stuck or confused, they've got a 24/7 customer support line, so you always got help. So go to squarespace.com/read for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch your site, use the offer code READ to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Let them know that we sent you, and let's start the show. All right, guys, welcome back to a very special holiday episode. Holiday mailbag episode. So consider this like Santa's big ass red bag or whatever. Maybe your Santa has a houndstooth bag or Argyle or whatever the fuck. Christmas, holiday time. So we're going to get into some of your letters here this evening. And you've also got a special gift for you. Got an interview with a very interesting, very talented and attractive person that we will get to later on in the show.
It smells very good.
So,
let's get started.
Let's get started, yes. Do you want to go first?
I will go first. This is a mailbag episode for those of you who aren't familiar. It's where we just go in here and try to clear out the inbox a little bit. This first question comes from Jennifer, who says, my question is, how do you become comfortable in being you? I am very confident in every aspect of my life. It isn't until people ask me where I'm from that I begin to lose that self-confidence. I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood 40 minutes outside of Chicago. My mother grew up on the south side of the city, so my home church is out there, as is her side of the family. To me, I didn't see a difference in claiming my neighborhood versus the city since I was there all the time. But after coming to college, I realized there is a stark difference. I tell people I'm from Chicago, but if the person asking me where I'm from is from inner city Chicago, they are quick to tell me that I am not really from Chicago. I say it because I've spent so much of my life in the city that it is my home. It's just because my zip code doesn't begin with those same numbers that I'm deemed as welcome in the city club. When I tell people my hometown, they say I'm just one of those people who go into the city for day trips and only appreciate it for its Instagram qualities.
Girl.
They don't know that my history lives in that city. It's an instant shot to my confidence to say where I'm truly from. As soon as I do, people see me as whitewashed, privileged Black person. I should be grateful as both of my parents grew up as inner city kids, but sometimes I can't help but wish that they could have raised me closer to the city. There is no changing where I grew up, but how do I become more okay with my hometown? I feel like when people hear where I'm from, they've already made up their mind about me and that they shut me out and don't want to get to know me because, quote, they already do. I just want to be accepted, but I can't change the reputation of my hometown. Love you guys, Jennifer. I started with this because this is so cute. Like,
Jennifer,
this is adorable.
What people think about you based on where you were born or raised or what have you, ain't got nothing to do with you. I understand that is, there is this maybe desire to have people understand that they are misunderstanding you or not giving you a chance. But for the fuck what? Like, anybody with sense would know that you can't just assume this list of things about a person based on the zip code that they grew up in. That's just a stupid thing to do. Do people do it constantly? Yes, like all of the time. Some niggas used to tell me that I'm not really from Miami because I grew up in South Miami and not North Miami. Like, what? That is so fucking dumb, bitch.
Whatever you say.
Like, that doesn't even make any sense. And it never really agitated me because it's like, first of all, what is that supposed to mean? Like, you ain't really from Miami. Okay, I guess I'm not gonna get a job? Like, what is that supposed to... What the fuck is that even supposed to matter to me? Bitch, I know where the fuck I'm from, and it's not that deep. I love my city, and I really learned to appreciate my city when I moved away from it. But I don't feel like where I'm from is an entire reflection of who I am. There's a lot of Miami in me, and a lot of where I'm from has to do with, my insight on things or whatever, and the way I view certain things. But I'm not going to get, bent out of shape because somebody is making, this immediate, ridiculous, ignorant judgment on me based on where I'm from. It's just not something that you need to be worried about. It's not worth it.
Right. Because I'm assuming it's like you from the suburbs, so you're not a real nigga. You're not like the rest of us or whatever else. And you could go around explaining, well, my parents are both from the city and my church is out there and my mama hosts. Like, you could go around and give niggas your resume, or you could just be you. And if they don't like it, then they could kick rocks. Like, I won't say that everybody from the suburbs knows how to act, because there's a lot of times where people feel like because they grew up around white people that they are like not like other niggas, and that is a whole other conversation. But if you're not coming around acting like you better than everybody, you just saying, look, I'm from, I don't know, Evanston, I'm just throwing out a word, and instead of Chicago or whatever, then oh well, like niggas are just gonna have to not like it. There's no shame in where you grew up. Like you said, it's not like you picked that. It's not like it's anything you can change. So as long as you being you and not acting uppity or like you different or better than other people, then I wouldn't be worried about it at all.
It sounds like FOMO. It sounds like, there's lots of different places, especially like huge metropolitan areas and cities, where there's a certain level of pride in being able to say, I'm from Chicago, I'm from LA,
I'm from where it was rough,
the real Atlanta, and all of that stuff. And so I think that sometimes people, have this desire to also be able to identify with that and like feel like a part of a club. But again, for what?
I mean, they can't change the club just like you can't. There is a such thing as people having a shared experience because they grew up in the same projects or the same hood or whatever. And you could just never be a part of that. That is true. But that's different from people being like, oh, you're not from Chicago, so I don't want to talk to you or be your friend. Like, that is something else, and it's goofy. So if people are really mad at you for that, then those are not people you want to know.
It's just another nuance of Black trauma.
Oh, shit.
I mean, it is.
I mean, true. But yeah.
Okay.
Good luck. She's so young. She's like 19 years old.
I mean, it sounds it.
Bless
you know what I'm saying? By
right.
in a fresh, maybe not even 5 years, you're going to be like, fuck all y'all bitches. I don't give a fuck where they're from Chicago
this is
or where
freshman year of college shit.
It's so, that's very young.
You'll be okay,
I'm not
baby.
surprised by that age. Okay, so this letter comes from... I'm 1,000% sure that this is not your real name, and that I also really believe that you made this email address just to send this email.
Oh, Lord.
But I'm not going to call you this anyway. I will call you Massandre.
Okay. That is a name.
Hey, y'all. She says, where the fuck do I even begin? I've been dating this guy for almost a year. The relationship has had a lot of ups and downs, which would require a whole different email. However, two of our main issues is that there's been a lot of questions surrounding both his sexuality and his financial situation. For context, I am a straight Black woman, and he is a straight, I think, Black man. Also, please excuse any typos or grammar errors. Well, there's one. It all started when we were having sex. At this point, we had been together for about 5 months, and for the first time without me even asking, he ate my ass. I instantly wanted to return the favor, so I did it back to him.
Oh, fun.
Then I started giving him head while simultaneously massaging his you-know-what. And then for instance, she puts butthole and like explanation as to why she didn't say it in the first place.
Okay.
So massaging, his rose, he was enjoying it so much that I slipped a finger in there. To this day, I don't know why I did that shit. I guess I was caught in the moment. He lost his mind. Later that night, in a good way.
Yeah,
Later that night, I did it again. And, okay, rounds. And he said that it felt so good, he can see why men like to be bottomed. I laughed and took this as a joke. After a while, he wanted more and more of it and started saying things like men who enjoy anal pleasure aren't gay, and if a man slept with another man only for the feeling and not the emotion, he's technically still straight. This surprised me because in the beginning of our relationship, he would say the complete opposite and thought that any anal pleasure made you gay. He started enjoying me using a finger back there. So much that we upgraded it to a toy, and eventually I started using a strap-on to peg him.
Love it. I love it.
He asked me questions like, does this make me gay? And I'm scared of how far I will go with this. Maybe we shouldn't do this anymore.
Oh, wow.
But he said it felt so good that he wanted to continue. Fast forward one day, he told me that he was messaging this gay guy that hit him on Instagram.
God damn it.
I asked my boyfriend why he was even messaging this random man back, and my boyfriend said that he thought it would be funny to see where the conversation went and that he would stop if it went too far.
Oh, no.
Mind you, this man is popular on Instagram, and my boyfriend had been following him because I started watching his activity on Instagram. My boyfriend swears that this man randomly found him, even though I can confirm that my boyfriend followed him first. He wouldn't let me see the messages and said he deleted them because the conversation wasn't going anywhere, and he felt like it was silly to continue talking to him. I said, good, then you should unfollow him, but he said he didn't want to be rude. He continued liking his pictures, even the ones that were overtly sexy. And when I asked him about it, he said that I was making it sound like he was on some suspect shit. So he unfollowed him because he didn't want me to look at him in a weird way.
What?
I noticed that he would follow other random gay men on Instagram, only one or two from what I saw, and he asked me if I thought he gave off the energy that made him seem gay. He even jokes that his gay friends call him Trade. He asked me so many questions about what I think is or isn't gay about the sexual things we do, and I'm very confused. I am now uncomfortable pegging him. Now you are. And answering these questions, I've never done this with a man before, and I'm afraid that all this pegging has him confused. That's not what's doing it, sis. No. I asked him if he wanted to have a threesome with a man. This was me testing the waters. And he said, no, he would never do that, although he knows it would feel good having the real deal, but he assured me that he is only attracted to women. Now, the real deal stood out for me specifically in this moment because it doesn't have to be a dick. So the fact that it's like that's the real deal for you.
Yeah.
I mean, but all of these flags, right?
Yeah, all of them.
He also assured me that I'm the first woman that he's done these things with, and he enjoys it because I make him feel comfortable and not judgmental. Yeah. Then she goes on about talking to her gay friends about this nigga, and they basically all told the nigga that they all told her that they believe him to be gay, as well as finding it strange that he never painted when she first banged him, although that's stupid. For a list of reasons I'm not gonna name.
Okay, all right.
We're both 28 years old, so his behavior is a bit immature in relation to homophobic and transgender jokes that he used to make.
I bet.
And then this last paragraph basically goes into all of the other issues she has, well, the main other issue, which is that the nigga is broke. And
Wait. This is too much.
Lastly, the man always claims that he's broke, but finds a way to do the things that he wants to do. He doesn't like going out and having fun. And we've been confined to my home because he lives with his parents for 2 to 3 months into us dating. The only time we go out is to the movies. When I tell him I want to go out, he complains I'm being selfish and should support him trying to save money. After he told me how much he makes and what bills he has to pay, I find it hard to believe that he's broke. He eats fast food every day, has money for weed, and even goes to concerts from time to time. So long story short, basically the niggas seems to be pretending to be broke and it's just cheap, and they at the house every single weekend, and she's tired of that shit too.
Ooh.
So what's this man hiding? Is he bi? Am I extremely confused? Please help. Thanks so much.
Well, there is a lot going on here. What was her name? Miss Andre?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. All right, sis. So I think, now this is just my opinion based off what I just heard. I don't know for sure. I think your boyfriend is a repressed queer person.
Yep.
In bisexual or trisexual or homosexual, something.
Whatever.
A long time ago, the parents that he still lives with taught him that something about him wasn't okay. And he has been, he has internalized that. And you are the first person he has been safe enough to open up with in that way. Yeah. And this is why every time we get a letter from a girl who is like, I put a finger in my boyfriend's ass and he liked it too much, is he gay? I'm like, you know.
Right. But this is the thing. If it were just that, then I would
it would have
say
been
so. I would feel
fine.
something completely different.
The G spot is there, and
it's
yes,
just
of course you like
a body. Like you don't get to choose how it works. You know what I mean?
But this following gay niggas on Instagram, and being in their DMs and all this other stuff,
the homophobic, transphobic shit from jumpity jump and the aggression and unnecessary, you know, all of that.
I
that
would
part
never
of it.
do that. Wah wah wah, and all this.
That was probably your first red flag. But again, lots of niggas are homophobic and transphobic. It doesn't always mean that you're queer.
Right.
So, you know, and y'all be dating these niggas anyway. So it's not really like that's automatically the thing. Right.
Right. So.
But the fact that you have that on the list and then you have him following these gay niggas and having suspect activity with them because the whole, oh, well, I just wanted to see how the conversation would go and I would blah, 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 blah,
I deleted it because it wasn't going nowhere. That's the reason to not delete it.
His gay friends call him traits. There's like everything else.
It's everything else.
That is like, okay, this is suspect behavior and it doesn't, I wouldn't say that he is, just like you were just saying, it doesn't necessarily mean he's gay or bi. You know what I'm saying? If he fucking you, then there's a very good chance that he is attracted to women as well or to you. But all of the
he's definitely curious.
Shady, for sure. 100%. All of the shady behavior outside of the bedroom is what would have my, you know, my mind on alert. It's not just the sexual stuff. And that's not something that's going to turn anybody out in terms of sexuality. Like, I just don't know. Write us a letter and let us know if you once were straight and then somebody, you know, stimulated you down there and then all of a sudden you fucking guys. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just have not heard of it. You know what I mean?
haven't heard of it in anybody who didn't already have an inclination that they were scared to act out anyway.
That's what I mean.
And that's what I think this is. Like, your man has just been repressing this for a long time. And now he done got a taste of what it could be like and he cannot go back. And so I think he needs to have the freedom and the space to explore that. But also, I don't think that's on you to make sure he does that. Like, you offered to have a threesome and he turned it down. So.
How did he make homophobic and transphobic jokes but he got gay friends?
I could listen. I don't know. I don't know these people. I'm not sure how that happened.
A thing too. Maybe it could be whatever. I think that, you know, you and your man have a real honest conversation that needs to be taking place.
Yeah. The broke thing is just the breakup with him, cherry on top.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Like, it's just like outside of all of that, then you got this whole other issue that's irking you with the nigga. But
right.
He just doesn't seem to be very trustworthy, and that's unfortunate because it doesn't sound like it would be an issue if he were like, you know what, I think I'm attracted to men and or trans women and or trans men or, you know, something, whatever. Yeah. If he were to just be honest up front, it doesn't sound like you would be turned off by that.
Right.
Or that
it sounds like you down for all that gay shit.
I mean,
let's do all that gay shit together, right?
You know what I'm saying? So
you ate his ass. I would never eat a nigga's ass.
Progressive was the word that I was thinking. I was trying to place
last week.
Either. Yeah, I think it was last week. So yeah, that you have a progressive.
Lord,
you know what I mean? So,
right.
You know, who knows? There's so many. Oh God, being gay is so exhausting. But you know,
yeah,
I think that your mind is in the right place.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
because it's not like, oh no, he might be gay. It's like, I mean, I think that kind of is your concern, but also there's a lot of other, it's not the potential gayness going on that concerns me. It's the fact that he's lying and hiding shit and covering it up and all that extra. If he was like, you know what, babe, actually, yes, if we could try a threesome and then you here and we could just see how, and like, it's a safe place for me to try out my sexuality or whatever. Like, if he was able to say, I would like to open up sexually, I would like to let my flower bloom. And I would like to try some things out. And if you would like to try them out with me, like if he could do that, then I think y'all would not have an issue. But the fact that he's still in a place where he's lying and probably feeling ashamed and all that other shit, I would say that to him. Be like, look, I feel like this is your issue. And let me know if that's what's holding you back or not. If he's not ready to talk about it, you can't force him to. And there's no need to drag yourself along and sign up for a bunch of turmoil and nigga lying on you and cheating blatantly and all this other shit. There's no need to do that either. So, Best of luck, sis. All right, let's move on. This next question comes from Dion, who says, I'm a Black woman from the worst state ever, Florida, and I'm 22 years old. She said it, I did not. I started college 3 years ago and have had a significant weight change. My first year, the weight gain, significant stress, mental health, and the culture shock of attending a PWI put me in a dark place of self-loathing, and it took a lot for me to get out of it. Since then, I've been making strides towards being as healthy as I can while accepting my body in all of its stages and being kind to myself because my mind and anxiety are a bitch. Recently, I've had an awful semester in terms of grades and being diagnosed with anxiety and depression and going through a lot of stress. So I've gained a few more pounds that I am not okay with. I'm currently extremely insecure about this, period. For my birthday, I decided to go home and spend time with primarily my mother and father. My mother made me breakfast, which I ate, and then she asked if I wanted seconds. I said yes, and as she proceeded to give me a little more, my father told her that she did not have to give me all that, took the plate from her, and gave me the amount of food he saw fit.
Wow.
I told him that I am not a child and he didn't have to do that. And he responded by saying that I am a kid and I act like one because I don't know how to control my portions and that's why I've gained weight. When he said that, I furiously threw the food on the table, got up and went to wash my plate. You better than me. He then got up, screamed at me to pick everything up and then went to my mom to make the situation worse. I do realize that my actions were disrespectful, but at the moment I was extremely pissed. To make an already long story shorter, my father and I do not have a good relationship. Right. And he has a history of fat shaming and verbally and physically abusing me as a kid, as well as my family. As I get older, I realize that I have a lot of trauma and am now addressing it. And I've realized that half the shit my family has said to me about my appearance and weight is not okay. I've been doing okay about this until my birthday incident. And after his comments and an argument about it, put me in a dark place and resurfaced a lot of anger I have towards him and my family. This has been the worst birthday ever. Christmas break is coming up and I have to go back home. I am dreading this heavily. Do you have any advice as to what I can do so I don't lose my fucking mind while I'm there besides going to therapy, which I already do every other week? Anything would help. Thanks so much, Dion.
The only thing that I could think to do is to be passive, super aggressive. I mean, like that's what I would do. I would literally just not speak to nobody. You know what I mean? I would literally just not have a conversation with anybody. And if asked, I would be honest. I mean, I'm just speaking about what I know that I literally would do. Yes. Which is, I would definitely be honest and I would say, well, I don't feel comfortable having a conversation. I don't really even feel comfortable being here because I feel like I'm not supported. I feel like people, don't really give a fuck about what's really going on with me mentally or emotionally. And I also feel like a lot of the trauma that I carry on is because of people right here in this room.
It absolutely is.
I would much rather for me and my safety and my mental health and betterment sit here and be quiet and enjoy my nog or whatever the fuck and mind my business until this is all over.
Yeah, I think, I feel for you because 22 is a rough age and you're going through all this stuff. You're in therapy, realizing how fucked up your childhood was. That is a lot to come to terms with. So I think if I were you and I go home for Christmas, I would honestly just chill. Like, I'm going to keep things very regular. Like you already said, you and your dad don't have a good relationship, so I would not go out of my way to speak to him. And as soon as he or anybody else says something about your body, I would say, I'm actually, just here to celebrate the holidays. I'm not here to talk about my body. If that's not okay with you, then we can just not talk at all. But my body's not up for discussion. Period. You are an adult, even though he doesn't see you that way or treat you that way. And if he decides that he's going to talk to you about your body or yell at you or scream or whatever else, then you can just ignore him. You can just walk away, go to your room, whatever else. Like, you can make it clear that we're not having this discussion. You can go back to the dorms. You can leave if you really want to. Like, the point is, you don't have to put up with that shit.
You don't.
I said we're not talking about it. That's it. Find something else to talk about.
It's literally your body.
It's my body.
You don't have to talk
it's
about it.
It's not up for discussion. You cannot make me do it.
It's like surprise because you don't
right.
like you don't have to talk about your body
Period.
to nobody about anything or whatever, especially if all that would come from that discussion is negativity and malice.
And you feeling bad.
And so it's like, you know
Which isn't going to help if you cope with negative emotions by eating. That's only going to make things worse. I wish people
And it doesn't matter who
understood that.
Really feels like the shit is whatever. Like, I don't, if it's deemed to be disrespectful to not speak or to whatever, I'll be like, you know what?
It's disrespectful to talk to me like that.
I'd rather disrespect you than go home feeling like shit or feel like shit right now or continue to be, condescended to or demeaned or
berated
whatever.
Even.
So
fuck that.
It's really like no fuck season. That's what you should be on.
Yep. And you can always I don't know. I just think that anytime you tell somebody or show somebody this is how you're going to treat me, it marks this change in you where you're like, wow, I really don't have to put up with nobody's shit. I really don't. And I truly have the option to be like, you're just not going to speak to me. We don't have to do it. I think you're scared because you haven't done it before, but the first time you do, I think you're going to feel so much better.
Oh, yeah. It gets so much easier after the first time.
Yes. And if he keeps doing it, okay, so I guess me and you just really not finna talk. Okay. That's cool. That is absolutely 100% your decision. So best of luck with it, sir. Good luck to you, girl.
What should I choose here? I'll go with this one. This comes from Candy. It says, my fiance and I have been together for 10 years. We live together and are getting married next year. Last night, while I was asleep, I woke up to him masturbating in bed next to me, which made me upset. I wasn't upset that he was jerking off. We have sex fairly often, but I get masturbation is a separate thing, and I do it too. I'm mad because he woke my ass up and couldn't take his shit into the bathroom or the living room instead of violently shaking the bed that I'm sleeping in. Anyway, the thing I need advice on is this. I was looking at his screen because I'm nosy as fuck and wanted to see what he was into. To my surprise, there was a small blonde Asian girl on the screen bouncing around with her clothes on. I thought it was weird that she was alone and dressed. Then I realized that he was interacting with her. He would stop whacking it to type things back to her, and she would giggle and start stripping or doing something different. He moved, and I couldn't see the screen, so I'm not sure what she did, but he continued to type to her the whole time. Now, I'll admit I'm a porn noob. I'm not against it. I was just always able to get off to a fantasy in my head and just never got into it. I have no idea how webcam girl stuff works, but I'm a little uncomfortable about it, and I don't know if I'm being fair. Even though he stopped typing and left the chat the second he came, it feels personal to me since he was talking to another person sexually.
Oh, girl.
Have y'all ever done this, or do you know how it works? Is it just one-on-one, or was he really chatting with a bunch of other people watching her? Should I be feeling as creeped out as I am? Also important, is this shit free? Because I'm trying to pay for a wedding, and I feel like it's probably dumb expensive. Thanks, Candy.
Well, Candy, I don't think it's dumb expensive, but it's certainly not free.
I mean, it can be.
Really?
Yeah, it depends.
I think if he's doing a one-on-one session with this girl,
if he's doing one-on-one, then yeah, that's not free.
Right.
But from what I know, for webcam models and stuff like that, a lot of them are a group thing. It's like streaming just like any other thing. So a lot of times they have groups of people in these chats, and basically people will chat with them and you can really talk about whatever, but usually they're telling you what they would like to see or whatever. And I believe that usually the person on the other side is sort of basically getting tips. They would be like, basically, you want some areola? Give me some tips, guys. That's okay. I think how it goes.
Like a digital stripper.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Like a digital stripper, or one of those old school things where the window would go down when he was out of time.
Right. But see, even them charge you something to come in.
Right. So, I mean, I can't say for sure whether he's actually spending money on this or not, because like I said, I don't believe that you need to. But it's possible. And at the same time, I can't say that he was doing a one-on-one with her because
Right. Don't know.
it's possible, but I'd like to say maybe most of them websites are group things.
I mean, this could be a girl he follows on Snapchat or something. There are plenty of just regular people out here who are doing sex work on the side.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
It could be something that he didn't even sign up for through a porn site, but I think this would actually concern me less than regular porn.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think it would. Like, I feel like something like this is more ethical than most porn that is produced. And so, especially if he's paying for it and giving the money directly to the girl who is getting him off.
All right. I mean, the site takes
some company or some white man. Right. Like, you're actually paying the person who's doing this. And then, girl, the fact that he exited the chat as soon as he was done.
Right. Hello?
Just like when the porno is over and you've had your moment, you close the laptop and go to bed. That is exactly what he did.
I mean, it's essentially still porn.
Yeah.
You know? It's just
I don't have no issue. I would have no issue with my partner doing something like
Me
this.
Me neither. I wouldn't. I mean, that girl is not going to meet your man.
Yeah, she don't want
She's not.
him at all.
Is likely not interested in any of the motherfuckers in that chat.
He is putting gas in her car this week.
Hello,
okay,
and get something good to eat like the rest of us. That's all that it is. So pay, tuition. Who even fucking knows?
I think you're creeped out about it because he actually is interacting with her, and most people obviously don't do that while they're watching porn. But I just don't. Plenty of niggas talk back to the screen like they are interacting. So
that's true.
I just wouldn't be worried about this. It would be different if he was in a bunch of girls' DMs trying to fuck or something like that. But if he's not, then look, that's just what he likes. He likes to watch girls bouncing around on balls. That does something for him.
I mean, I wouldn't have an issue.
Get you an exercise ball, surprise him. That's what you do.
I would just be like, next time you and passionately Katie or whatever, y'all need to take that shit over into the living room.
Do that
somewhere quiet because, how dare you? Honestly, I'm trying to sleep.
So sleep.
So.
How? Right. Like,
being woken up for anything is aggravating to me. But being woken up because your nigga is jacking off to some webcam shit. I can't even imagine. Like, are you fucking kidding? You couldn't have the decency to just get up.
Lesbians will wake you up to have sex.
I mean, that's completely different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Waking me up because you was over there playing with yourself.
There's no need for me to be awake for this.
Leave me alone. Right.
I don't have to be up, but here I am.
So go yonder, please, and thank you.
Yeah, Candy, I think that this is something that you don't really need to worry about at all.
So, but good luck to you. Talk to your man about it, but I think this is fine. Let's take a real quick break, and then we'll come back.
Would you buy a t-shirt for $50 if you knew that it only costed $7 to make? I mean, I probably would. I'd prefer not knowing those things because I enjoy my money. But Everlane only makes premium essentials using the finest materials without traditional markups. They want you to know what you're paying for and why, so they tell you their real costs and are radically transparent about every step in the process, from the materials they use to the ethical factories that they work with. Everlane's clothes look better, cost less, and last longer because Everlane sells directly to you. Their prices are 30 to 50% lower than traditional retailers. Essentials like their Cotton Crew t-shirt are exactly what they should be: simple, stylish, and made from quality materials. And I myself are very much, I'm into, a very kind, reliable basic these days. And so this is just like gold to me.
It really is. And I didn't really understand like why people were so hype about like ethical or sustainable or like high quality stuff until you actually put something on and then you like, oh, like it feels different on your body. Like, these are quality materials. I love that t-shirt. I love the dress that I got from Everlane. I have some great jeans that came from Everlane too, and like everything just looks good. It lasts forever. All that stuff still looks exactly the way it did when I first got it. I just cannot say enough great things about Everlane and their basics. Right now, you can check out our personalized collection at everlane.com/theread and get free shipping on your first order. Just go to everlane.com/theread. Again, that's everlane.com/THEREAD. Let them know we sent you. Let's get back to the show.
Okay, we are back. It is time for more of your letters.
That is correct. Send your questions to asktheread@gmail.com. I just realized it's my turn. Let's see. Let's go. Okay.
No.
All right. I think I've picked one. All right. So this question comes from. Damn. There's no name here.
Angela.
This might be a boy, I don't know. But anyway,
That can be
Angela
unisex.
says, I am quite livid. I am 29 years old, and unfortunately, I live in Indiana. I moved here from Florida a little over a year ago.
Oh,
I absolutely hate
please.
it. I moved here because I was in dire straits the last few months. I was in Miami with money problems and the depression that comes along with that shit. I had to make some quick decisions and ended up moving to Indiana to reset and get my shit together. I never lived here prior to this, and it's fucking trash. I can't even convey to you in this email how much this place sucks. It's country and hick and full of conservative white racists and white women and their biracial kids.
Wow.
Every day I am miserable. I smoke weed and eat copious amounts of food to cope. Okay. Which is adding to my misery. I went from air mattresses in my mom's living room to an uncomfortable ass futon to now a twin bed in my musty ass 16-year-old brother's room. I can never get any good sleep, and every day I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not in control of any aspect of my life. This is a 2-bedroom apartment, and I am constantly cleaning the bathroom, obviously because I share with a nasty ass teenager. I get no privacy. And did I mention that there is a fucking deep freezer in my brother's room?
What?
Why is there a deep freezer in the bedroom? I will never know. When I first started staying here, I didn't have a car. My dad's wife doesn't either. So she didn't make this super clear, but she moved from Florida with her mom to Indiana with her dad.
Okay.
All right. So when I first started staying here, I didn't have a car. My dad's wife doesn't either. Around April, May of last year, she told me I have a garnishment on my check that'll be gone in July. So that'll free up some money so I can finally buy a car. I was like, bet, I'm on the same tip. I've worked hard and I purchased the vehicle this June. Now I can come and go as I please. But lately, my dad's wife has been needing a ride to appointments and stuff, which is inconvenient and annoying, but if I have the time, I'll do it. For the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've had to take her to work at 7:30 in the morning, and I am completely sick of this shit. I work in the evenings. I do required community service in the daytime. Finish assignments because I am in school, and I also just don't feel like fucking getting up. In 2 minutes, there will be snow and ice on the ground, and I don't want to be required to get up early as fuck, heat up my car, and all that extra to take somebody else to work. I feel like I'm required to be her chauffeur, and I don't want to do it, but also that how I feel doesn't matter. I'm a grown-ass woman, and when I didn't have a car, I was using Uber and walking and doing whatever it took to get where I needed to be. Moving here has been the worst transition of my life. I cry every day because I'm cramped in this tiny apartment where I can't even sleep with no pants on because somebody may come and get something out the deep freezer.
That's terrible. And you're laughing.
I'm sorry. I just thought about it. Jesus God. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. My 16-year-old brother is 3 feet away at all times. I am uncomfortable every day of my life. My mental health is suffering greatly, and I am truly not okay. Ooh, I'm so sorry that I laughed like that. I plan to get my own place as soon as I can, but realistically, it won't be until spring at the earliest. I can't afford to live on my own, but I don't care if I'm living hand to mouth. I have to have my peace of mind. I'll be 30 next August, and I can't believe my life is like this. What should I do? I am at my wit's end. Do y'all know what I could be doing wrong? Help. Thanks in advance. Who? Angela.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I am really sorry. It was just the visual.
Yeah, no, I get why that was funny.
Of somebody walking in and getting some fucking nuggets out the deep freezer.
And it's just because
just too
it's
much.
so fucking like.
And that is such a Midwestern thing to do. My grandma had like 3 freezers.
We definitely had a deep freezer, but it was like legit in the back.
Yeah, it was in the utility room, which I think is a little more
same.
acceptable than somebody's bedroom. That is fucking crazy.
I've never heard of anything like that.
But yeah, you're going through a lot. And there's a lot of background information we don't have here. Like what exactly was so bad in Florida that you felt compelled to move to Indiana?
I mean, what ain't?
I'm sorry. From Florida to Indiana, it would have to be pretty fucking bad for me to leave Florida.
I mean, I've only been to Indiana for a shake in my whole life, so I don't really know what to expect.
I mean, I say this is somebody who's from Oklahoma. I feel like Indiana and Oklahoma are comparable, and I'm not going back.
Okay.
So it would have to be very fucking bad
That makes sense.
in Florida for me to leave. And, you know, we also don't know what you've been up to while you're in Indiana, like why you have this required community service. You didn't give us any background into that. So I feel like there's a lot going on with you that we don't know about. So it makes it hard to say, you know, where you might be going wrong. Because I'm not really sure what's going on with you. But I do completely understand you needing to get out of that house. That I do get. And so the whole thing about your dad's wife and having to take her to work and all that, it's one thing if they cover all your bills, but if they don't, then you can say, look, I'm not getting up at first thing in the morning to take you to work. Like your husband gonna have to take you, your son, somebody can drop you off, but it's not gonna be me. And you can stack your money up and look around, see who in Indiana is looking for a roommate. It should not be that expensive to find somebody else who has a 2-bedroom apartment, but there's like just a grown up who just has an empty room.
Yeah.
And, you know, be able to move in there. And I think that'll take care of so much of the misery because a good 75% of this letter is how much you hate that apartment.
Yeah.
So I think a change of location, a change of living location has to be your first priority.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I've totally been in living situations before that were like incredibly just like they just affected my emotions and my depression in such intense ways.
Yes.
And so I feel like one of the few things that helped me in those moments were coming up with a plan and like writing out a schedule. And obviously it didn't go exactly the way that I wanted it to. And I don't think that I expected that plan to. But there was just something about like planning the get out that helped. And then also coping mechanisms of mine that still exist. You know, video games for me are a great form of escapism. I don't rely on it because I just feel like video games are amazing and underrated. But at the same time, I know that if I turn one on, I can just go there for a bit and not be in the four walls or whatever. So that's nice for me. But I also find that reading is really good at doing the same thing. Listening to music, like anything that can sort of just help your mind zero in on one thing for a bit and just be focused on that. And then
because it's hard to not even have a bedroom to yourself.
Yeah.
Like not only do you share it with your brother, you share it with the freezer. That's so people just walk in whenever they feel like it.
Right.
That is too much for any one person to be reasonably expected to handle. So yeah, I'm thinking like when I was 29, my life was probably at least this trash because I was living in New York City and was broker than I had ever been in my entire life, trying to deal with winter while not having real winter clothes because I didn't come from a place with a real winter, and dealing with snow and slushy bullshit and getting on the train to go to work, and everything was bad.
Yeah.
And then go home to an apartment that I share with people who I just really don't ever really know who might be in the house when I get there because I am just renting a room from these people. I don't get to have no other part of their house. Like I have access to my room and the bathroom, and that is it. But at least even there, I could just go home, unlock my door, shut it, lock that door, and I was just in my own place where I could just, you know, think about how fucking wretched my life was. So I fully get it, but I don't want you to give up. Things can always turn around. And I know your mental health is really suffering, but I really think the first thing you got to do is find somewhere else to live.
Yeah, consider the situation temporary.
Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, try to focus on a plan to leave.
Right.
As well as just something to take your mind off of your surroundings as best. And I know that's going to definitely be easier said than it is done. But there's got to be a way that you can sort of just put your mind at rest while you're there.
Yeah.
In preparation for whenever you can not be there.
Yeah. Even if you don't get to move out till spring, you can start a countdown clock where it's like every day I mark off another day on the calendar. You X that shit off. You know, if you have any friends there, talk to them about whether they need a roommate or, you know, maybe spend the night with them every now and then. You can spend a weekend in like a really cheap hotel or find a deal or something like that where you could just kind of treat yourself every now and then to a little vacation away from all the shit going on in that apartment. It's a lot of things you can do to manage how hard everything is. But good luck to you, because when you're in the middle of a bunch of hard, ridiculous shit like that, it can be really difficult to see how you'll ever get out of it.
Right.
Hang in there.
So this letter comes from, they put Bumblecloth, so I guess that's what she wants to be called.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm assuming your gender. So to get right into it, my boyfriend asked me to marry him last week. I took a minute to respond because I honestly want to break up with him.
Oh, shit.
I live in D.C. and he lives in New York City, which is truly not a significant distance. Neither of us are broke, so a $200 flight is not a big deal. Okay, well.
We'll flex then.
Alrighty.
All right.
I mean, because
a $200 flight ain't nothing, okay? It's nothing.
But number one, I always go see him. Number two, we have not set up a consistent time in which we'll see each other, i.e. once a month, every other week. And number three, we also have not committed to a time frame in which we want to live in the same state. 2 and 3 I have asked about, and that's when he buys a ticket to come and see me. When I ask him when I'll see him next, he says he'll see, or he stops responding via text, then responds later, changing the subject. And I don't hold water in my mouth, so I ask questions like, how/why do you want to be with me and not even want to see me? Which leads to an argument. To add insult to injury, my nigga has 2 children with 2 different baby mothers. That was 10 years ago. Cool. And then she put not actually cool in parentheses.
I mean.
But it doesn't help that he makes it an issue when I want to see him. I do believe people change, and if it is evident they have, if it is evident they have, we should give them an opportunity to be that changed person. He has not given me any reason not to trust him. But it doesn't feel right to me. He's sweet, patient, motivated, and all that other stuff that made me catch feelings. Anyway, also, yes, the dick is good. It's actually great. I feel like he only wants this relationship for reasons that don't include love, or is possibly hiding something in New York City.
Oh, he lives in New York?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he hiding a few things.
I feel like he only wants this relationship for reasons that don't include love, or is possibly hiding something. New York City is a big hoe city. You need punctuation marks, girl. I'm originally from Brooklyn. Are we supposed to be long distance married? The fuck? Do I break up with him, or try to figure out a clear understanding of what we both want from each other? P.S. Y'all are blacktastic. Can't wait for tour dates. Sincerely, Bumblecloth.
Okay. Well, long distance is already garbage.
Yeah, it sucks.
But if I have to argue with you about coming to see me, no.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
I just recently had a conversation with a friend of mine who's in a long distance relationship, and I'm talking about internationally long.
Oh, fuck that.
And
Oh, no.
And they make it work, but that's because there's a clear and genuine intention for them to see one another as often as they can.
Right.
And they do that. Now, I know that has to be, like, that's, after a while, it's like, okay, I can't just do this. I can't fly to a whole other country every month or whatever to see. It's impractical.
Right.
So there should be some sort of a conversation or plan for you guys to be together at some point. You know, I would think nobody, you know,
just long distance for some indeterminate amount of time. Like, yeah, we're not doing that.
So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. And I'm looking at your actual email address, so I do believe you to be woman. It doesn't surprise me that you are the one trying to get clarity and answers.
Right.
And this nigga is just like, I'll text you.
You got that new Pokemon? Like, nigga,
sorry,
what?
Girl, so...
I'm talking to you about... Our relationship? Are you talking about the Nintendo Switch?
I just spent all of these dimes and pennies on another fucking ticket to come to fucking New York and see you. And I would just like to know, reciprocity.
Right.
Now I understand you trying to mention all of these great qualities and stuff that he has, and he really might be, fantastic in all of these other regards. But you got to read between lines.
He's fucking somebody in this city, girl.
I wasn't even going to say that.
Oh.
I was just going to say, if he's not willing to meet you halfway here, you got to consider what else you'll have to be trying to make up for, make room for, compromise on, and all these other type of shit. Like, you're literally talking about compromising seeing one another.
Right.
You're talking about...
We're not doing that.
That is not done for you. So yeah, he could be doing whatever the fuck he's doing in the city. Or he could legit just be working and going home and playing NBA 2K like many other niggas.
Yep.
So I just feel like there is an issue in general with you just having to make the effort all of the time to spend time with one another.
Yes.
If he asked to marry you and he's great in all of these other respects, let's go ahead and say that he is a good guy doing good things, and he just is a bit airheaded when it comes to what you're talking about right now.
That would be one thing.
And that means that, if you really want to be with this nigga and you really do, you could see you guys being married, then maybe you need to grab the nigga by the shoulders and shake him a little bit and say, hey, I had been considering leaving your motherfucking ass because I can't see this going into a place of stability.
Say that shit.
You're not helping me see this go to a place of stability. So I am not going to agree to spend the rest of my life with you if I feel like for the rest of my life, I'm going to see your ass thrice.
I love the rhyming here.
I just, I need to understand what's going on for me to be secure that I'm not going to be wasting my damn time, as well as legal documents and shit like that.
Exactly. Like, that's just... Marriage, I'm not going to be putting up with this in a marriage. So I'm for damn sure not going to be putting up with it in this relationship. Like, and I think a lot of women in particular are like scared to say that because it's like, oh, I don't want to make him mad. I don't want him to break up with me because I asked. If he breaks up with you because you say, hey, I'm frustrated and I feel like this relationship ain't going nowhere, then y'all needed to break up.
Yeah.
Like, you need to lean into maybe breaking up is for the best.
That is clarity right there. Like,
it is.
Oh, okay, so we don't need to be together. Great.
Right.
Awesome. And I completely forgot about these two baby mamas. So it's just, there's a whole lot going on in here, honey. You know what I mean? But again, if you've been with him for a while and you would like to make it work, I think you know what needs to be said and like really, really driven home. Because some niggas will, nod their head. You already done talked about how when you bring it up, then he's like, all right, let me buy a ticket and go see. You know what I mean?
But why did that even have to happen? Your man should be like, so it's been 2.5 weeks since I saw you and I'm going to need a whiff. Like, I don't understand why you have to be like, hey, come see me for him to buy a ticket. Well, yes, I do, because he got some ass right here in the city, but that might not be true. That's just what I think.
I mean, who knows? I'm not putting it past anybody.
But have the conversation. Be like, look, is this what you want? Yes or no? Because I'm feeling like it ain't going nowhere. And just see where it goes.
Yep.
Best of luck to you. Our next question comes from Allie, who says, I'm a huge fan of the podcast. It has helped me through some very dark times. Thank you, girl. I need some advice. I have been in therapy for a little over a year. And my therapist recently told me that she will no longer be my therapist because she is leaving the agency. When I heard this news, I wanted to curl up into a ball and cry. I went through so much with my therapist, from addressing childhood trauma, a death in the family, my job, the stress of grad school, toxic relationships and breakup, strained family relationships, depression, and trying to balance it all. When she told me she was no longer going to be with the agency, I told her I wasn't sure I wanted to go through with therapy anymore and may want to be discharged since I have been making progress. However, since some of my concerns are still a constant in my life, I'm not sure if that's the right decision. I wanted to know if you all have ever had a change in therapist and wanted to quit therapy altogether because you didn't want to meet someone else. Is this normal or am I overreacting? Please help, Allie. P.S. One reason I considered being discharged is because I'm nervous to have a white therapist who may not be sympathetic to cultural differences. I am a Black pansexual man, and my last 2 therapists have been people of color. I've been open about my struggles in my respective communities, and I'm concerned that with having an insensitive therapist, I will shut myself off and start to revert, which is real, a very real concern. And so I totally get why you're scared. And I think this is 100% normal.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I would have a fit if my therapist was like, yeah, girl, I'm not practicing no more. Be like, what? You didn't run this by me at all.
So I don't know how far this can go, if it can go anywhere, but I would ask if your therapist can refer you to someone else.
That is great.
You know, you could express your certain desire for a therapist of color, specifically a Black one, if that's what you need. And just ask to, be referred to another capable therapist who can then get the information from you, at least like a breakdown of information from you about some things that we've discussed, the place that I'm at, the place that I've come from. And that way you can just be put into the hands of someone else who your therapist deems right for you. And then hopefully they will also then have a decent enough idea of where you're at with things so you don't have to explain everything all the fuck over again. Again, I'm not really sure that this is a thing that therapists do, but I want to say it has to be possible.
Yeah, I definitely think that's your best bet, is to ask them who in the agency they feel would be a good fit for you. Even if it is a white therapist, it could be a white therapist who, is aware of white privilege and racism and how those things work in society.
I mean, if you're a therapist, I would hope so.
You would hope so, but there are a lot of therapists who are not at all aware of things like that, or they, deliberately ignore them. And so then you have to explain cultural shit, or like explain why a microaggression was racist and why this was, and it's like, okay, I am not doing all that in therapy. I'm supposed to be here to work on my shit, not teach you shit. So, but on the other hand, I think like 85% of therapists in this country are white.
I mean,
so
no gag there.
So yeah, even if it is a white person, I think having that referral from your therapist who you already trust would be huge. Also check with your friends. You never know who has a therapist who's in network or who has recommendations and that sort of thing. I just want you to know that you're definitely not overreacting. All the shit you went through with this therapist,
yeah, I know for
that
sure.
lady knows you like nobody else. Yeah. And so that's a difficult person to let go of.
Nobody wants to have to then go and be like, all right, even if you find another therapist that's good for you,
like,
to have to break everything down all over again and catch up. I totally get why he would want to do that. So I would definitely ask the therapist for assistance and just helping you find someone else and bridge the gap so that you don't have to do all this work all over again.
Yeah, and maybe she can like pass along some notes, like maybe a little summary about you. Be like, here's all the shit this nigga been through, and here's everything he's dealing with.
Or you could do it yourself.
Yeah, or you could do it yourself, but yeah, I think asking around is going to be your best bet. Quitting therapy altogether is probably not the move to make. I will say that.
Oh yeah, for sure not.
That a lot of your concerns are still popping up in your life and you still need help working through them. So yeah, I would just get on the hunt, which is hard. And I hate that it's like that for us. And I definitely want to do my part to make mental health care more accessible to Black people in particular. But, until then, we got to work with what we got. So good luck to you, Allie. Yeah, it's hard.
Okay, this email comes from E. And mailbag episodes don't have to be just question mail. They can also be reads because you guys send those in as well.
They can.
So this one says, hey, y'all, look at this stupid fucking meme. Now, I'm not going to say who tweeted this because who cares? But basically, is this even a meme? Because it's just a tweet that somebody sent. But it says, what Carol Sanchez did just sent black girls back. It's bad enough the media and police don't take missing black women serious. So the one time it actually makes national news, it's staged. We got so many black girls who are currently missing parents left heartbroken. Girl, really? So E responds to this by saying, and there's a bit of it, but I'm going to read most of it.
Okay.
First, okay, to understand why this meme is so stupid, disgustingly misogynoirist, and anti-black, I want us to know and remember a few things. First is that there is a long, consistent history of the police ignoring black people's missing persons cases. The police drag their feet on missing cases involving black women and girls consistently, although we are highly likely to be the victims of sex trafficking. They often suspect black women and girls of being runaways, using this as an excuse to avoid due process in investigating missing persons cases, and use this for justification in closing cases prematurely, often without the evidence to substantiate these conclusions, and without reasoning to support why a black girl running away is acceptable. Also, the media has also been consistent in its lack of coverage for cases of missing black people, especially where women and girls are concerned. This is illuminated especially when we see the care, focus, and empathy expressed for little white girls gone missing, regardless of the reason. Black people noted this disparity and responded to it in our use of social media. When one of our own is missing, we immediately pay attention. Many of us share pictures and links to cases of missing black girls faster than we can read them. And a lot of times, even after the person has been found, we have started to place a high level of importance on this action because we know these systems are racist and have been. To blame their racism on Carol is lazy, stupid, outright inaccurate, and is deliberately abusive. In bold, it says, why I think y'all are responding this way. For you all to turn so viciously against Carol after learning that she was reportedly not abducted suggests to me that your reaction is psychological. You've suggested that she be incarcerated, needs to be beaten, among many other violent suggestions that are not appropriate for the actions she took, her level of responsibility as a 16-year-old child, or the time and amount of information it would take to understand all of what happened and why it did. Your responses suggest to me that you are deeply ashamed of having supported this girl to later learn that your assumptions of the situation were manipulated. Understandably, this can make someone feel duped, stupid, or ashamed, but you shouldn't. It is a fact that the minor child was missing and that police assistance was warranted to help her be found. It is also a good practice to share information about missing children who are actually still missing from their guardian's care, as she was, in the hope that sharing the information would help the children be found. Even if we don't have all the facts of the case, what is not okay is to have a sense of entitlement over the outcome of a story because you clicked a button on your iPhone, or feeling personally pranked by something that doesn't personally involve you. It's not okay to hold a child stranger accountable for your feelings about being wrong and then advocate further trauma for that child. It seems that y'all are gleefully wishing additional trauma on a girl who has been nationally exposed for making the worst mistake of her life. This is what you wish on black children at their lowest because of your timeline being tarnished. Get over yourself. And further, stop sharing memes of her face calling her a liar or comparing her to unrelated cases of other adults. Allow her to move on and get the help that she needs without jumping to further conclusions or being a bully towards a 16-year-old child. You don't know. We don't know the whole story. It's a time. Okay, so I'm gonna skip these two paragraphs, but basically in one paragraph, she's just going over possibilities of what this girl could be going through. Example, coming from a repressed and abusive household, or just being a typical 16-year-old who doesn't understand how good they have it and makes a poor decision because you're in that age. It could be anything.
We don't know.
So continuing here, she says, finally, a note on blaming racism on black people for good measure. There's no level of good behavior a black person can exhibit that would entice racist people to reconsider their racism. On the flip side, there's no level of bad behavior a black person can exhibit that excuses or confirms racist rationales. Confirmation bias also allows racist people to point out bad behavior and try to use it as justification for racism that already existed. The same racism exists for black people who exhibit good behavior and does not for non-black people who behave badly, especially not when those people are white. This is because anti-black racism is about dehumanizing black people. It's about creating shifting goalposts that can never be satisfied and taking away dignity, power, health, and life from black people to the social, political, and economic advantage of white people. This is the foundation of the way race has been constructed in this country since 1619. I wish you guys understood this to the point of internalizing it and forming deeply held beliefs around it. Saying saying that you're pro-Black or exalting Black excellence on the timeline is not enough. You need to believe in the humanity of Black people and that racism is never justifiable. I think a lot of you believe that you have, but if that were true, you would never dare to curl your lips to accuse a Black person of inspiring racism against other Black people, because you would actually understand that at the moment you are empathizing with and speaking for racists rather than your own people. I see it and y'all are making me sick. Thanks, E.
Well,
so I felt like that said everything that I wouldn't have been able to so eloquently say about this Carol Sanchez story. So thanks, E.
Yes, thank you for that. The only thing I will point out is that what we now know is that her boyfriend who helped her pull off this stunt is 23 years old. Mm-hmm. So that and at first I thought he was probably 16, 17, maybe 18. But now that I know he's 23, I've started thinking, okay, it might be a really restrictive home with, oppressive parents or whatever. Or it might be that her mom is like, I'm getting you away from that 23-year-old man. Mm-hmm. And so she and he were like, oh, no, you're not. And decided to formulate something else. But I don't trust that 23-year-old boyfriend shit at all. That is disgusting.
Right.
23 with a 16-year-old girl is just wrong. So,
but at the same time, I don't feel like that has anything to do with anything that she just wrote.
No. I'm just making the point that it could be something else. It could also be that the boyfriend has manipulated her or has control over her.
Oh, yeah. Way. Big facts. But it's like.
But regardless, everything she put in this email is true. Every last word is true.
It's just ridiculous.
People are racist. It's not like Black people just need to start acting the way white people want us to and then they won't be racist. They'll just find another thing we do that they don't like because it's us they don't like.
Even
not the behaviors.
Exactly. Even if Carol had been really snatched off the street by, crazy, vampiric niggas from the city, it would not have made people pay attention to the stories of Black missing girls or women any more or less. Like, that wasn't going to do a motherfucking thing. Right. I think a big part of the reason why it made such crazy headlines, it was all over the place, is because there was actual video footage of her being snatched up. You know what I mean? As opposed to a lot of these, pictures of these girls from, pics they took at high school or their yearbook picture or just a pic from them at home in the story. And it just goes over most people's heads because people don't take Black bodies, specifically Black women's bodies, seriously or with care or any of that type of shit. So this girl in this situation just doesn't have anything to do with people not giving a fuck about us. Yeah. And it is really disheartening and sad that people would behave the way they have to, a 16-year-old kid for making a horrible decision, a horrible mistake, rather than just going back to whatever the Black ass fuck that your ass was doing and being thankful that these parents know where the fuck their daughter is.
She didn't think that shit through because she's 16 years old. Her brain's not done developing.
Period.
They make terrible decisions all the time.
Period.
They do that.
One of the things in this letter that I sort of skipped over, but that was what she was essentially saying in one of those paragraphs. Right. That she could very well be like many, if not most, 16-year-olds and just be in a place mentally where it's just you don't see what your life really is. And hopefully if you are given, the opportunity by God to live a full life, you will soon get to a point where you're like, damn, that shit was stupid. Right. You think this girl won't hit 23, if not the fuck now, and be like, damn, what the fuck was I thinking about?
Right. Okay, well, thank you, E, for that email. I think this is actually going to wrap up the question part of this episode.
Damn.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with one very special guest.
Listen, a better way to get birth control is finally here with Simple Health. Simple Health is all about care that fits your life. They make birth control simple, convenient, and affordable with online prescriptions and free home delivery. Whether you're brand new to birth control or just tired of dealing with renewals in pharmacies, amen. Simple Health will take care of you. Just fill out an online health profile, then a doctor reviews it and writes a prescription. You can pick the birth control you want or have a doctor recommend the best one for you, including the patch or the ring. Your birth control then ships to your door monthly. No more waiting rooms, no more pharmacy lines, and no interruptions. Simple Health isn't a replacement for routine checkups with your doctor, but they make birth control accessible for all women. It's free with most insurance plans and starts at $15 a month without insurance.
Isn't that incredible
That's
that you're
pretty
just
great.
like, oh my God, let's just go ahead and do that then. As somebody who uses birth control, I am so excited about this service with Simple Health. I am very hype about perhaps spending less time in the doctor's office than I already do. So if you would also like to get started, you can try out Simple Health for free. That's right. Go to simplehealth.com/theread or enter code THEREAD at checkout. Again, simplehealth.com/TheREAD or code THEREAD. This just takes away some of the barriers to our healthcare. So sign up if you need it. All right, let's move on.
So listen, you might be thinking of some fun place you want to make for yourself online this holiday season. Maybe you want to start a blog where you put a bunch of posts of all of the crazy, ridiculous, and intolerant things that your parents say over the Christmas season. Or maybe you just want to post pictures of your baby's first Hanukkah or something of that nature. Go to Squarespace, where they make it easier to launch a passion project online, showcase your work, start a new business. You can sell things with their e-commerce functionality, and all of the things you need for mobile compatibility are optimized straight out the box. Buying domains is incredibly simple, and they've got a 24/7 customer support line if you do need help of any kind. So go to squarespace.com/read for a free trial.
That's right. Squarespace.com/READ. And when you're ready to launch your site, use offer code READ to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Squarespace has empowered millions of people to turn their great ideas into something real. So again, squarespace.com/READ, offer code READ. Build something great with us in Squarespace. And now, let's go talk to a fine-ass Michael B. Jordan.
Okay, so we're back, and we're going to be wrapping up the show with a very special interview that we did a few days ago with one, I don't even know how to set this up.
Yeah.
Talented, black.
That's right.
Good smelling, apparently you
Incredibly
said.
good smelling.
I didn't smell, but
I did.
That's great to hear. Fine as hell.
Is immaculate
actor,
teeth and skin.
Producer extraordinaire. So Michael B. Jordan joined the show to talk about a new film that he's doing.
Yes.
Called Just Mercy, out on December 25th with Jamie Foxx, Brie Larson, some other talented folks. So we got to talk to him about that here in a very fancy hotel room in Columbus Circle. So
yeah,
join
the movie
us.
looks really good.
It does look really
looks
good.
Based off, it's not look. It doesn't look based off a true story. It is based off a true story. So
Bryan Stevenson and him helping to fix yet another case of a wrongfully incarcerated black man. So powerful stuff. Go check it out and listen to this interview. We got to talk to him about it.
Yeah, it's pretty spoiler free, so no worries.
Yeah, no spoilers. So go ahead, check it out, and thanks for listening to the show.
How you doing? Good?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm trying to be present.
I
here,
get
I promise.
I'm sure you have a lot going on.
It's insane. It's really not fair, actually. It's really not fair, but what's up?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you for being on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I'm very excited about this movie.
I can't wait for you guys. You saw it, right?
No. Okay. I missed the screening.
Okay.
I didn't get to go to the screening.
Okay.
I'm very excited.
I saw the release date, and I have a classic tradition with one of my best friends in Miami of going to the movies with her family on Christmas.
Okay.
And we almost always go see whatever looks good in black. So I know already they're going to be like, we're going to see Just Mercy. You coming?
That's what I'm talking about.
So,
yeah, got to.
Yeah, thank you for allowing us to do this with you. Just for the people who are going to be listening to this, you are doing this movie Just Mercy, which is based on the autobiography of Bryan Stevenson, and it sort of revolves around the case of Walter McMillan, who was wrongfully accused of murdering a white woman. So can you give us sort of a brief breakdown of what the film is about, and then also I know that you produced this with their company Outlier Society, so what was that process about? Why was it important to you to tell this story and so on?
The movie is about Bryan Stevenson on his journey and how he his path of being a lawyer, being a defense attorney, led him to death row inmates. And ultimately the case of Walter McMillan, who's case was egregiously false. I mean, it was clearly corrupt things that were going on, and he I think he had a very hopeful spirit and kind of cavalier spirit of wanting to go down there and fix things, down in the South. And I think he ran into the harsh reality that it wasn't going to be as easy or as simple as it seemed on paper. Getting a chance to meet Walter McMillan, they say one of the worst things you could do with somebody on death row is give them hope. And because at any moment, their name, a number could be called and ultimately be executed. So Brian Stevenson's approach was wildly different, which was to get close to every client, which was to be hopeful and optimistic of a change. And the movie takes place over the course of several years. And trying to prove Walter McMillan's innocence, and played by the phenomenal actor Jamie Foxx. And at the end of the film, he does get exonerated and released from death row. So but why was it important to my production company? I think I've always for a really long time I wanted to start my own production company to take control of my own creative destiny, to start telling stories, to give opportunities to people, to put productions together that was a reflection of the world that I actually lived in, and thankfully Warner Brothers really ran towards the idea of my inclusion rider that I heard from Frances McDormand a few years ago at the Oscars, and they adopted that policy. And this is the first movie under that umbrella, and Warner's very much so. Even Warner Media and all of their companies under their umbrella now use the inclusion rider to hire for all their companies. So it's a step in the right direction. I feel like them setting a precedence across the board for other studios and other production companies to start to follow suit. Once the biggest studio in the world says that's the way they're going to operate, hopefully others will follow. So we'll see.
I actually heard about Brian Stevenson for the first time a few years ago on a podcast called Criminal, where they were talking about this book. And also at the very top of the episode, I'll never forget this, the host said, listening to this story will change the way you feel about the death penalty. Like, it will change the way you see the criminal justice system. And at first I thought, no way, there are some people who deserve the death penalty no matter what. But after I listened to that episode and learned more about Brian Stevenson and his work, I was like, okay, no, you know what? I totally changed my mind. We need to have a much more fair and humane system, this sort of thing. So I was just immediately taken by his brilliance, his empathy, the fact that he graduated from Harvard Law and was like, I'm not going to take some big fancy job. I'm going to go down to Alabama, and help people who need it. And you all had the opportunity to have Brian be right there consulting with you on the film, everything from design and wardrobe. And I know you also said that you even came to him for tips on how he would approach the bench, or how he would say certain things. Can you speak a little bit more about how helpful it was for you all to have so many of the people from that time and in the story involved with the production?
Oh, I think it was, it was amazing. It was a huge resource for us to be able to call or text Brian, when I needed help. Or I felt lost or I was curious about something. He was a huge resource. Then also he would, be on the first plane back to fighting cases in the Supreme Court. He was so busy, but he allowed himself to be available because he knew how important the story was, and he knew why we wanted to get it right. We wanted to do him justice and really make sure his story was told the right way. So as much as I could, wanted to learn from him, be around him, be a sponge, and really pick up as many of his mannerisms and how he thought about things, his mental strategy. How can I make some acting choices that can reflect that, so people can really see his process and how he approached things. So it was a huge benefit to have Brian around and have him available to us.
Yeah, seems like it.
What was it like working with Jamie Foxx in this. I saw it was like the first time that y'all worked together,
which blew my mind. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I was like looking like surely they've done something together before, but I did see on Fallon that he said that y'all have known each other for a while.
Exactly.
So what was like the experience to finally get to perform together? Not just perform together, but perform with such like depth and emotional character in relation to people that actually exist.
Right.
It was incredible. Like I've known him for since I was a teenager. And he's always been a big brother, always mentored me, gave me advice. He's been through everything in Hollywood. So for him, he just wanted to not see me make as many mistakes. He wanted me to kind of like avoid that landmine. Don't do this, don't do that, and kind of make sure you take time for yourself and take care of your mind and your heart, and your spirit, and get all just words of encouragement. This business is can be vicious, and that journey is it's tough. So for that alone, I love him outside of work. But then also, in this town, we're always like, yeah, we want to work together one day. Like, yeah, one day, we're going to do that. And sometimes it never comes, to fruition. But, thankfully the stars aligned on this such an important project. And it's awesome. It's like working with one, like family, and like, or one of your closest friends. Like you guys can say harsh things to one another, or like joke around. You can push the boundaries because there's no love lost. It's coming from a great place. So when it comes to the work, we're in the middle of a scene. We can try things. There's more. The space we have to operate. It's very comfortable, so we can take risk and push the envelope a little bit. So it was a good time.
You briefly just mentioned like being advised like take care of yourself emotionally and stuff like that, and I'm thinking about like you've portrayed Black characters that are real, and not only real, but have experienced really tragic, traumatic things like that before. How do you handle the emotional impact that can have? Because I'm actually currently very fascinated with the mind of an actor and what you kind of have to, because you essentially have to be another person for whatever your allotted time is in that day, and then be you again afterwards. Do all of this research into experiences and cultures and stuff. So like, what do you have to do, if anything, to sort of, come back to a sense of peace and self, and remove yourself a bit from,
I think it's a process. I think, as I've gotten older, like the depth that I go into characters have grown. I think when I was younger, obviously you're still trying to figure it out, or like, you're getting by with certain things or whatever the case may be. And as you care, as you grow, you evolve, you go, further and further into somebody or a character. And the process becomes more important to you. I think, sometimes it weighs on you. It kind of lingers, for a while, depending on the role and what you're going through.
Fruitvale Station, I just wanted to say really quickly, that like really fucked me up even watching it. So I can only imagine how you like left set every day and was like, I'm going to take off this.
Being that person.
And go back to me.
It's tough because I didn't really... I try to stay in it, not in the sense of like method acting and like, 24/7, but you kind of stay into that place, that spirit, that essence until like the job is done. I like to anyway.
Gotcha.
So even me, I got to like take off all this. This is from a movie I'm still shooting, I got to go actually shoot when I leave you guys right now. I'm back into DC, another character, but usually, a haircut, what I'm saying? Like whatever I look like doing for the last 3 months, I try to like get a clean slate and take that off me. Try to go away somewhere, and just be by myself, honestly. I've been playing characters as of late that are, that are pretty complex and complicated, outside of like the Creed, which is, Adonis is as close to normal, or just kind of like,
films,
appreciate that. Thank you. He's still, but that's a kind of a dissection on, fathers and sons, and generations and abandonment and sense of identity, something that me and Ryan kind of started and wanted to kind of like, dive into, and Stephen Caple Jr. followed it up with a excellent sequel. So I think everybody has their own process. I think mine is one that I've been figuring out as I went along, therapy definitely being one of them,
Amen.
I think that's something that, a lot of people, frown at or whatever the case is. But I think, especially within our culture, black men, don't go to therapy.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in our culture, like we go to church.
Right.
That's
Take
our
that
thing.
to Jesus.
We go to church
Right.
and
Fully.
pray. But that's an amazing thing also. That's definitely a necessary thing, to pray and be spiritual and all that good stuff. But sometimes it's good just to sit down and talk to somebody, man, and and unpack, and unpack some stuff. So I'm definitely a advocate for that. And do things that you enjoy doing, that your character might not do, do things that just generally make you happy, be selfish. I think those are some of the things that I try to do to unwind and kind of like get out of a character that I've kind of been living in for a few months.
Yeah. Right. So your other co-star in this movie, Brie Larson, she plays a woman named Eva who is not a lawyer, but is sort of like an advocate for people who are dealing with the legal system. And she's lost, lots of friends and other, fellow whites in Alabama because she is committed to doing this work. But what I found so interesting is that, first of all, this Eva actually did take place then as well. She's also based on a real character, just like everyone else. And that it's very clear, both with Eva, the actual person, and with the movie, that she is not here to be like the white savior. She's not coming in on her white lady horse and like righting all the wrongs, and it's really all about her at the end. It's more like, this is my role and I'm just here to help, and I'm not really tallying up, the wins or whatever. I'm just trying to help as many people as I can. Can you talk a little bit about working with Brie and just everybody being on the same page about what the movie was supposed to say?
Yeah, Brie's awesome. She's an amazing person, amazing actress, activist in her own right. She's all about justice. She's all about equality. She's not somebody who pretends that she's not, what she is. A person, she's white and owns that white privilege, and she understands that, but she also uses that for the benefit of people who don't have that. And she's an amazing person. She'll be the first one to admit what she doesn't know. But she's there to listen and to open herself up to learn. And she doesn't pretend to be a part of the struggle. She doesn't pretend to be anything like that. And that's what we love about her so much. So to have her a part of this project was extremely important. She was an amazing scene partner to really help bring out, the essence of, Eva and also Brian as well, because they were really close friends.
Right.
And she worked for Brian, helped execute Brian's vision. And what I really love about this movie is that, it's a black man saving another black man.
Yes.
And that's an imagery that we don't see often.
It's beautiful.
I think there is a certain stigma that comes around, our culture that, black on black violence or black, when we're gonna stop killing each other.
Right.
And the statistics behind that's false.
Right.
That is a narrative that is bullshit.
Yeah.
To have the imagery of a black man save another black man, we can't ask for help for anybody. We have to save ourselves. We have the ability to save ourselves. We just have to, start to, change the way we think and the way we move. Excuse me. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That makes me think about how Brian himself in law school went and visited a man on death row, like it was part of this program or something he was allowed to participate in. And he realized, like, me and this brother are the same age and had just a few things gone differently. This could so easily be me. Yeah. And taking that and turning it into a life of, fighting for us. It's us who are living at the intersection of race and class. It's poor people who have to deal with so much bullshit with the criminal justice system. So the story itself is just really incredible. I'm so excited to see how y'all have made it come to life on the big screen.
Dope.
I did have one more small little fun question for you. I know back when y'all were doing Black Panther, small little movie you guys did a few years ago. Little thing.
Little indie
You had lost a bet with Lupita Nyong'o, and she had you doing the push-up thing. And I remember some screening I went to, you all were there, and she made you do it right there on stage.
Yeah.
Does she still have the push-up power over you?
No, she don't. She lost that a long time ago. Technically, if it be technical, she didn't have it at that moment either. But
He was being a good sport.
I just, I wanted to give her one, because she was still learning how to play the game, and like every night she was like, "You owe me a push up," and I was like, "That's not how it works." But okay, all right, it's fun. But no, she's super competitive, and
I believe that.
You know, when you're on tour and you're going through all these press events, you find ways to to interact and have fun and keep things light. Because we're on this crazy tour or whatever. But yeah, it was yeah, I'm gonna get her back.
I thought it was like a lifelong push-up thing. I said, she got him, boy.
They expire in a week, and so you have a week to kind of to get them off there.
That gave me the stretch of promotion for this film.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw a lot of those.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Like, she was just like, push up. I'm like, doesn't work like that, but okay, whatever. And yeah, they're on call push ups, so I could like literally during that week she could have called me at like 3:00 in the morning and like wake me up and be like, give me a push up, and I would have to get up and give her a push up. So that's it just keeps us.
I love that she was like, yeah, your week is cute. I'm actually just gonna keep that.
Yeah, pretty
and we're
much.
just gonna keep it going through the whole promo.
Pretty much. I'm gonna get her back though. We're gonna get another bet going. So yeah.
Do you ever deal with imposter syndrome?
What's that?
It's like a situation I feel like it's very common in creatives and artists and stuff where you are sort of in a situation that many people would deem to be a blessing, and maybe you feel as though like you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Or like, am I really good enough for this?
Yeah, am
I ready for this?
Especially being an actor, like it's not uncommon or unheard of for a person to book a role and then someone's like, you know what, actually.
But maybe when when your movies have smashed the box office like yours have, you're like, I'm not really stressed out about.
But that's the thing. Some people who are like incredibly credited performers and stuff like that still struggle with sometimes feeling like, can I do this? Did they pick the right person? Am I capable?
Right.
I never had that. I like phrase like that in the sense of like, I'm not the right person for the role, or they should have got somebody else. It never felt like that. I think it's always come from a place of like, why am I getting all these blessings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've at a time before I really start to own my path and kind of like my success and things, it was like, that's why people are scared of success. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a fear of success. You stop your own self from being as successful as you could be. You know what I mean? Like self-sabotaging almost, in certain ways. But I think there's a thing of like survivor's remorse. That's real. That's like, damn, out of my hood, out of my neighborhood, out of my group of friends, or whatever it was, why me? Why am I the one that's getting all this going on? Like, and like, it could have been them, it could have been this person. And I think that's something that I might have gone through for a spell of a time. But yeah, I think that's a ownership thing. I think that's a confidence thing. I think that stems from wanting the best for others.
Right. For everybody.
You know what I'm saying? I think if you really want the best for other people, sometimes your selflessness, you start to look at yourself like, man, I want them to have those blessings. I want them to have that. I want that. So you might go through that little kind of like in your head a little bit, but
well, that's sort of what you're doing with having a production company.
That was a huge thing to me to make sure I had that, to be able to, because in Hollywood, when it comes to us, it's like, the one role will come out. And everybody go out for this one role that's like not a stereotypical situation. It's the one role that everybody, so it starts a competition over time. And then people start looking at, oh, he got that role again. And now, I want that role. And it's like it's not enough food for everybody to eat, you know what I'm saying? But like, everybody eat, B, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where like, you create I wanted to create more material. I wanted to give more opportunities to people. So, because there's space, there's room for everybody, so.
All right.
One more question.
Okay. They just told us to wrap it up. So.
Oh, okay. Really quick. You've done film, television, voice acting, video games, which I believe to be the most superior medium, but that's not the point.
Oh, e-gaming is coming strong. Just know it's going to be. Look, listen, it's going to be the thing.
I'm just saying.
Just know.
What's your favorite like of those to do, like of the arts?
The arts. I mean. That's tough, man. I think I kind of go in depending on what mood I'm in, I think I love the ability. I'm starting to I used to hate my voice. Like I really didn't I hate hearing it. Even now I hate hearing it,
Yeah, me too.
but I enjoy voice acting because it's a different muscle. It's a different type of you could be in there playing around and animation. I love animation. So that's a cool thing that I love. Acting is obviously one thing. I haven't even started really getting into directing yet. So we'll see how, if I get that bug, you know what I'm saying, that it should really start directing a lot. So I think it's a nice little balance.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Michael.
B. Jordan. We'll be back, y'all.
Thank you.
All right, that wraps up this week's episode of The Read. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Check us out at thisistheread.com. Our social media is at thisistheread. Any other announcements for you, friend?
Nope. Thank you guys for coming out to the holiday party / toy drive. Really, really appreciate it. And thanks for all of the gifts and things like that, donations. Thanks again to Michael B. Jordan for being on the show this week. Go see Just Mercy. It comes out December 25th. And that is it for now. Also believe that this is our last recording of the year. So thanks for a great 2019. See you in the new year for more queer and more weird and cussing and dicks.
All that.
And yeah, have a safe holiday.
Yeah, be safe, y'all. Bye.